My name's Jarrad Langdon. I'm 29 from Sydney. I'm a web design graphic designer running my own business called Jarrad Design in Norwest Business Park. I finished off a graphic design apprenticeship, and after that I then came in and started up my own business. I was at a pretty young age, so at that stage I started to kind of dip my feet into the water with some smaller clients, family, friends, etc. And from there started to then build the company into a larger position where we could start to take on some larger jobs and so on. Yeah, definitely. Going out freelancing and kind of running the actual business side of things, I had no training in that, so that was very daunting. Trying to set up things like bank accounts and MyOb and payment processes and wages and everything like that. Definitely very daunting. I did a fair bit of research on it, read a lot of different books on it, obviously used the internet for a lot of research also, and spoke to as many people as possible to try and smooth that process out. But yeah, definitely a big step from working with someone where you know that you've got a guaranteed income or wage each week to then going to the position where you've got to make your own wage in order to be able to get by on a weekly basis. For Jarrad Design, I always had the aim to try and have all clients come in through word of mouth. To me, a lot of clients still do come in through word of mouth, and they're the kind of clients that I love to get. I found that the clients who come in through word of mouth, they've already got that standard that they know that you're going to give because they're talking to their friends or colleagues or whatnot. So those type of clients and the work related to those clients always ends up a lot better quality work, I found, compared to people just approaching who I've had no contact with in the past. I did do a little bit of search engine optimization to start with. That was probably the main way of advertisements, but other than that, business cards were the main thing that I just handed out to everyone and tried to network as much as possible through family, friends, etc. to try and get those initial clients to come in. Once they were in, then the ball started rolling then with larger clients. I had a few different dealings with things like Rotary or BNI, etc. Mostly though, networking was just talking to as many people as possible, letting them know that I was after work, letting them know what kind of work that I did. What you'll find is with IT, you say that you're a web designer or a graphic designer, and people don't really understand what that is. So to try and actually explain what that is, to smooth over that difference, that was the main thing. Yeah. You say that you're a web designer, and you'll find that people either think that that's something that you just do in your bedroom after hours, or they then see the complete other side where they might think a team of hundreds build a tiny little website. Yes, so in high school I always had an interest with the actual arts side of the subjects. With that I did work experience in Year 10. Did 2 work experience blocks, one at a graphic design business called Orient Creative in Norwest Business Park, and the second at my old primary school. At that stage I probably also wanted to be a teacher rather than go into graphics or IT or anything along the lines of that. A few months after that work experience, the director of the graphic design firm made contact with me and wanted to see if I would do an apprenticeship in that area. So that's when I kind of started to then get a little bit more of an interest with kind of the graphics design side. At that stage it wasn't really web design, it was primarily just focused on graphic design. But because of the growing industry in web design, I decided, so the employer and myself, to try and focus in a little bit more on web design because with the opportunities there, but we're starting to really grow very quickly. So the apprenticeship was 1 day a week. It was a graphic design pre-press apprenticeship at TAFE. With that, also that involved 3 years of TAFE out of the 4 years. What we actually then did is we busted it up, and I did the first year rather than doing that block, the actual release with TAFE at the graphic design side. I did 2 courses in actual web design at TAFE, at Hornsby TAFE. One being just an entry-level Certificate 3 into IT, and the second one being a Certificate 4 in web design, which then started to give me that direction. Within design agencies, not a whole lot of networking going on. I know on some larger projects that I'm now doing, yes, there might be a few different agencies working on different projects. So some larger e-commerce websites, we may bust it up so one agency does the design side and one agency does the programming side or whatnot. That's probably the level there. Through TAFE and also through WorldSkills, I've made a lot of connections with other web designers, other graphic designers, which then opened up opportunities there. So working with like-minded people. For 2 or 3 years there, I also had an office where I shared with a couple of other web design agencies. So that was really good there also to be able to see how they ran their business compared to how I ran mine, and also how they run and deal with clients compared to how I have in the past. Yep, so WorldSkills Australia, I competed, it's basically like the Olympics, but Olympics of trades. So I competed in the competition area of web design. There's other competition areas like, say, bricklaying, hairdressing, beauty therapy, sparkies, plumbers, builders, etc. It works like the Olympics where it's regional based, so I competed in Sydney region. You then go to a state based, you then flow onto an international level. So I represented Australia in 2005 overseas in Finland. So from that, I actually got a lot of opportunities and also networking wise through that. Met a lot of different people through that, which has really helped, and also having that backing to be able to say, well, I did X, Y, Z within WorldSkills Australia really helped there when promoting myself as a business and also as an individual. Regionally, it's an 8-hour competition where you all just go into one room and compete on for one set project. Nationally, it's a 3-day project, and internationally, it's a 4-day project. So, for example, my international competition was a 4-day project. It was on Nokia, the phone company. They were the main partner there. With that, we had to build a complete website for them in 4 days, so ranging from the graphic design side of it to the actual HTML, CSS development side of it, through to, at that stage, content management systems weren't as in as what they are now, so we actually built our own content management system with PHP and MySQL. So then what then happens is each competitor who goes internationally also then takes with them an expert or a mentor or trainer who then at the competition turns into a judge. So I competed against about 30 other countries around the world, and I had my judge, so to say, there, and then all of the projects were then judged for one marking scale, looking at 2 areas: objective, so looking to see whether something was there or not there, and also subjective, so looking at the actual quality within the work that's been provided. Which was really interesting to be able to see the standards between Australia to, say, Brazil to Canada to China, etc. Yep, definitely big differences between the user interfaces, the designs. It's actually really interesting. I've now been to 4 international competitions with WorldSkills, and you can really see the trends from certain countries will always do certain things because that's just how they were taught, and also that's how they're within that country, that's the standard that they have. Right through to, say, PHP and the standards there involved, or even with today's, say, the last competition with jQuery, how everyone attacked that was completely different. And obviously then going into the next competition where jQuery will most likely still be there, it'll be interesting to see whether that also matches up like the rest.
Cool.
Okay, so at Jarrad Design we try and be as hands-on with the work as possible. We do everything in-house, internal, and don't send anything off overseas like what a lot of developers are doing of late. We do everything locally here, which means that we've got a very hands-on approach. We deal with the clients in a very professional manner, but we try and also be good friends with them at the same time. So with that, we really focus in on exactly what they require, rather than what you'll find a lot of web design agencies won't listen to the client as much as what they'll just do what they actually need, where we'll try and streamline that and make the integration of what they require with the actual website that is built as easy as possible for them. So what we'll normally do is we cover the graphic design area and the actual user interface design, research what areas there we can go into, whether or not we have to match to an existing brand or to a new brand that we need to develop. We then look at actually building it for HTML and CSS. Growing trend there, obviously, also with responsive website design, so making it then work with your tablets, your mobile phones, etc. And then looking to then integrate that. Of late, we've been using WordPress for integrations, for standard blog style / brochure style websites, or something like Magento for the e-commerce systems. So for myself, I prefer to jump straight into Photoshop to be able to start to put the design together. I teach at TAFE, and part of that is the design area, and it's really interesting to notice that a lot of people would prefer to actually go to paper first and then onto Photoshop. For me, I'm not much of a drawer or sketcher, so I prefer to jump straight into Photoshop itself to start to put the design together. Trying to focus in on as much as possible to actually build something that's unique but also actually usable is the main thing there. Well, web design over the last few years has grown a whole lot, so things like responsive, even when I was taught, things like CSS was only just being integrated, and really it was just styling within your actual HTML files. So a lot has changed. What you'll find is that any IT trade, you're always needing to retrain yourself on nearly a weekly basis. Something's always being developed or integrated or expanding on for use throughout the net. So yeah, you definitely have to try and keep up with your own studies. I always try and read as many different things as what I can online, visit as many different websites and tutorials as what I can, and also just speak to others. So having a bit of a professional network of other people who like-minded there definitely helps also, so that you can see what they do compared to what is done. I also find, as I said, through World Skills has definitely helped a lot, because I can see that standard on an international level as to what direction it's going. The internationals are held every 2 years, so it starts to show very clear pathways there as to what, say in web design now, it's up to 40 odd countries from around the world, what direction each country is taking, and normally that's always in a very like-minded manner. Yeah, definitely. I hate going back and doing small updates to websites for more than a year or two old, because I look at it and think, oh, why did I do it that way, or why did I do it that way, and get a bit upset at looking at that. But really, when you go back 2 years, then that is how it was done, and it is the standard. Because it's always changing here, you've got to go back, and a lot of the sites now that we're starting to work on are sites that we probably built 4, 5, 6 years ago when we first started out. So we're now starting to repeat that process and update them in still the same brand and the same identity for a lot of them, but just updating them to the latest looks, latest styles, latest technologies, etc. Yeah, so we try and keep all clients dealt with in the same manner, whether they're small, say a small Sparky compared to a large international chain, or to a national chain around Australia, someone like Blue Store, Henleys, etc. We try and deal with exactly the same, so that means on all levels of the effort that we put into the design, the user interface, etc. We try and put in that same amount of effort compared to, say, the smaller brand that's starting out and after, say, a small e-commerce website. Try and do that. Obviously with them there's a lot more levels that we need to go through, so we find that there's a lot more changes, a lot more input to the design and layout. You'll find that a lot of the larger brands have their own graphic designers or something like that actually working internally. So with that, they may do parts of the design, or they may have a bit of a concept which then they provide to you compared to the smaller brands, but really the general flow and the theme from dealing with a smaller client to a larger client is pretty similar. Work hard, try and do something a little bit different that makes you stand out compared to everyone else. I had World Skills there, which was a little bit of a difference compared to what a lot of other students coming out of TAFEs or universities didn't have. But yeah, try and join as many networks as what you can. Make your design slightly different to everyone else's, or try and sell your designs, your actual abilities slightly different to everyone else's, so that you'll stand out. The amount of resumes that we get emailed into us, or people knocking on the door at different times, where they just hand over an A4 piece of paper, a resume, and you look at it and you think, well, there's not a whole lot of effort there that's been put in from a design or web point of view. Same instance goes to the amount of web designers who apply, and you say, where's your portfolio? And if they say they don't have one, that's probably a big no-no, so definitely get an online portfolio put up. Even if you're a graphic designer, put something together there to try and then show what you can do actually online, rather than just having something printed or something just on an A4 piece of paper. Definitely growing for business. I'd like to grow it. Recently taken on a guy full-time, which is really good there, so definitely starting to grow that team, so that there's a larger team in the office which can obviously network within each other, but also start to work on some larger projects.